Jeff Snagging first. Happy Monday.
Welcome back.
Going live in the middle of the day, but here we are. Hey. I think we're Monday Fun Day. Well, that's one way to describe it. Let's see here. We're talking about Marathon. We're talking about other stories. I don't have a whole lot pulled up. I've been kind of skimming the news. I've been working. I started on that. Brought my kid to camp. But welcome in. We got everything loaded up. Let's see. We'll talk about Crimson Desert a little bit too. Move into Marathon and then close out with some interesting Square Enix news. Talk about AI a little bit as well. I think we got a well-rounded show. We can maybe redirect and talk about something else entirely if chat wants us to. Hey, welcome in, everybody. Happy Monday. If you notice, it is the middle of the day instead of the morning, and I had to move the game news this week. We'll try it out. Hey, if it works better, maybe we do a midday every week. I don't know, but right now we're just gonna roll with it. My kid has a camp this week that the drop off is like right in the middle of the morning stream time, so I can't be in two places at once. So what we're gonna do is just make it work the best we can. That fan was a little cold, but anyway, so yeah, we're gonna talk game news this morning and chat and hang out for a moment while we do the things. All right, so welcome in. I hope you're all having a good day. I'm trying to move, like, for some reason all of my stream application windows have shoved over to the other side of, like, the or to a different monitor. And so I'm trying to put everything back where it's supposed to go. And I don't know what's going on. It's very awkward. Okay. That works. Okay. Just drop it into synthwave for game news. But yeah, let's just jump into the news. Sorry, I kind of got focused on the nonsense there. But I hope you're all having a great Monday. It's a decent Monday here in the Chrono House. I don't know if this is turning it on or off.
Welcome back.
But I'm very confused. Because it was already. I really gotta work out the game news track as the mode toggle and mix it up, because it definitely is weird. Okay, so now we have game news mode being active, which is what we want. Okay, odd. Mix it up being weird again. Okay, and then we will jump to the clear camera. I kind of feel like the news, even the news mode, should feature the goal. So let me jump back to just chatting and grab it. Copy, and then jump in, and at least leave it on the full screen. Face reference. There we go. I think it can just sit in open space here. I may move it up. Right there. Top right. Okay. Well, I hope you're all having a good day so far. Now we can officially start, right? It's officially noon. That's when the stream was scheduled to start. I did start a few minutes early to make sure I was ready to go. We do have quite a few topics on deck. We're going to talk about Marathon. We're talking about Crimson Desert. We're talking about an upcoming partner preview from Xbox, which is where we're kicking things off today. Oh, well, look who finally showed up. Hey, I'm not late. I'm on time. I had it scheduled. I moved it to Nollet. Don't criticize me for being late. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. You know what? We're going to put it here, too. Sorry, I'm doing stream maintenance-y things while I'm here. We're putting the watch time goal where everybody can see it. We're making progress, chat. Making progress. We'll check the update at the end of the stream and see where we're at. We got about an hour. All right. Anyway, let's kick things off with the Xbox partner preview. Join us Thursday to see what's next from our third-party partners. So this is scheduled for March 26th. That's this Thursday, I believe. But you just claim you aren't late because you're a wizard. I mean, I have, but that's a past life. No, I'm just kidding. Xbox Partner Preview, a broadcast focuses on upcoming games from our brilliant third-party partners, will return this Thursday, March 26th. The latest installment will include news on upcoming games from partners including Sega, GSC, Game World, and Owlcat Games, plus brand new reveals, world premieres, and Xbox Game Pass announcements. Be nice if they announce a lower price for Game Pass Premium. During the partner preview, you'll get an in-depth look at Ryuga Gotoku's new project, Stranger Than Heaven, an update on Stalker. Oh, Stalker. Sorry, no, just kidding. Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl. Plus, new looks at The Expanse, Osiris Reborn, an action RPG set in the world of James S.A. Corey's legendary series. I don't know anything about The Expanse. Wasn't that a TV show? Anyway, that's not all we'll have for you. With first looks and announcements from more great games coming to Xbox consoles, Xbox on PC, and Game Pass. And as always, Xbox Wire will be here to share even more behind-the-scenes stories and deep dives about select titles featured during the show. The event will be broadcast digitally. What other way would it be broadcast? You can't analog broadcast anymore. There's no towers, right? I think the analog space is being resold. Anyway, Thursday, March 26th, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So Central Time, that's noon. Guys, that's right after stand-up. So if like my stand-up call ends early, I will hop on this call barring any major issues on Thursday. I really hope to react to this because I'm hoping for some new Xbox stuff. The event will be broadcast by Town Crier. Hear ye, an update from local Xbox developers. I bought my analog space back. Good job. Yeah, reclaim the space. To me, That's where the new imminent domain lies, right? In the wavelengths, in the broadcast wavelengths. Oh man. Anyway, I got shoes on. I can't use my foot pedal with shoes. I can't tell the difference in the three pedals. All right. So yes. This is going to be cool. I'm hoping to see. I'm excited. They're saying new reveals. We'll probably get like Kiln 2 already announced because Kiln 1 is already such a success before it's even hit beta. That's a joke just for Scrag, who doesn't even watch my stream. So extra. All right. Well, Capcom will use AI, but not for game content. Oh, thank God. With the ever-increasing impact and growth of AI, concerns about its use in gaming continue to rise. More and more companies are electing to embrace AI usage in game development and the end product. However, Capcom has issued a statement signaling its intention to steer away from AI in game content. Nearly every new major AAA title is being placed under the AI microscope at one point or another, as it should be. Crimson Desert is easily one of 2026's biggest games in terms of hype and sales, but developer Pearl Abyss had to apologize for a Crimson Desert AI art scandal. Capcom's already off to a banger start in 2026 with Resident Evil Requiem, and it sought to reassure fans of the company and investors. So, March 23rd, Capcom company briefing for individual investors briefing featured a variety of materials. I hate when sentences are worded. Like, briefing was in the title. We already knew it was a briefing. So, March 23rd, Capcom company briefing for individual investors report featured a variety of materials pertaining to stats, figures, and the company's goals and performances. Why do I always critique the articles I'm reading? Like, I've tried to just relay the news to you guys, and I'm like complaining about how this stuff is written. Also, in it was a Q&A raising key points about the company, and one particular question stood out like a sore thumb. Please tell us about your response to generative AI in game development. Here's the response in full. We do not implement generative AI generated materials in game content. On the other hand, we plan to actively utilize technologies that contribute to improving efficiency and productivity in the game development process. Therefore, we're currently verifying how to use it in various job fields, such as graphics and sound programs. On one hand, Capcom does not want AI content present in the final game, but the company is going to use AI in the development process. Makes sense? It's unclear if this will have a direct impact on jobs and human roles, which is always the worry with AI usage in game development now. Which, it sounds like they're just using it to help maybe speed up testing and some developy tasks. But, you know, the Department of Redundancy Department. Thank you. Thank you for that. If you want, we can critique you while you critique the articles. Denali, don't you do that anyway? You're telling me nothing new. Nobody watches me to be entertained. You guys watch me to make fun of me. I'm already on to this. Different types of entertainment for different folks, man. I feel like I just heard myself, but I'm not sure. And I'm a little scared. Because I don't know what's playing my voice. Anyway, okay. Moving on. Insomniac, quote, wants to show more Wolverine before opening pre-orders. Insomniac Games has revealed why pre-orders aren't yet live for Marvel's Wolverine, and it turns out it's because they want to show you more gameplay. Fair enough. Marvel's Wolverine is highly anticipated with the release date confirmed for September this year. However, with a release date usually comes pre-orders, but Insomniac seem insistent on holding off at least until spring 26. Insomniac has doubled down on sharing more Wolverine gameplay this spring, with the news coming from an innocent reply to a fan on X. It was mentioned that spring has officially begun, and they asked whether there will still be more information this spring, to which Insomniac replied, during spring 2026, yes. I love how this happens. You get a generic seasonal, like, window, right? So it's like, spring 2026. And in my mind, I just go, all right, the very last day of spring, they're going to announce something or share something. But then you got these goobers online that are like, all right, it's the first day of spring. Where's that news? Where's that news you promised? I'm like, can we chill? Like, it just started. Yo, Harold, what's up? I thought we were more clever than that. More clever than what? How's everybody doing today? Harold, good to see you in chat, bro. Hope you're having a great day, man. I just think it's weird. Like, yeah, we said during spring. Spring just started. In the same thread, another fan asked for pre-orders, but Insomniac did a very teasing reply. We want to show you more of the game first. Why? Like, people are already sold, so what are they showing us that's going to make us want to pre-order it more? But more importantly, who's pre-ordering games anymore? If anything, I've learned, don't bother, just wishlist it. Whether that takes form as a Wolverine-focused deep dive or a generalized trailer showcase remains to be seen. There's a high chance when you see Wolverine, pre-order should be open, so prepare your wallets. I mean, I'll just buy the game when it comes out. Or wait. Sony games, you can wait, get cheaper. I don't know, I might not buy any AAA games at launch anymore. Kind of concerned about marathon numbers. I might get my $40 back if the game doesn't survive. That's kind of dark. Anyway, let's move on. Oh, we're talking about Crimson Desert, though. Crimson Desert patch 1.00.03 makes the game easier and fixes huge concerns. Knucklehead a word with who pre-orders physical special editions. Right? Like, special editions are one thing, though. Like, if you collect the statues and stuff that come with special editions, you might want to pre-order that, because scalpers are also pre-ordering it, and they're not nice. They're also the scum of the earth. They're like right above, like scalpers, especially the Nintendo scalpers. But of the Nintendo scalpers, the Pokemon card scalpers are like one step right above Satan himself. All right, and I said it. All right, those people are like literal, like the floaty scum algae on a pond. Right, that's where they come from. They make me so mad. I hate it. It's made collecting just completely inaccessible to me. The fungus under my big toenail. Yeah, but see, you're saved and like Christian, and you know, like you're living a good life. That fungus is living a good life. These guys aren't. That's what I'm saying. Like the fungus under your big toe has better status than Pokemon card scalpers in my book. Like that's how bad I view them. Because they've ruined collecting in any capacity. I don't know how we got on this. We're talking about special editions. We're talking about Crimson Desert, which is also something that's terrible. I don't know if it's terrible. People are enjoying it. Let's read on before I lose my mind any further. Okay. The new patch, which changes a huge amount for a minor update, it features hundreds of bug fixes and tweaks, targeting some of the biggest pain points the community identified over the weekend, including concerns around controls, difficulty, and performance. The software is redeemed. Oh, gross, dude. Disgusting. Oh my gosh. Let's see. In many ways, the patch makes Crimson Desert easier, tweaking the difficulty of certain bosses in mini games and making some healing items more effective, amongst other things. Before we dive into the notes, it's important to stress that for now, the patch was available only on Steam at the time of writing. It'll come to PlayStation later in the day, and to Xbox, the Epic Games Store, and the Mac App Store later. I didn't know Crimson Desert was on the Mac App Store. That might be the version I get. Just play it on my MacBook. The whole Crimson Desert patch notes for the 1.00.03 update can be found below, but let's call out the biggest talking points first. Fast travel has been boosted by the addition of more Abyss nexuses across Pywell, which eradicates the super long travel times between points of interest. Force Palm has been introduced earlier to make it more viable for players just getting started, and storage chests can now be used to actually store things. Keyboard and mouse inputs have been adjusted in many ways, making things more fluid and intuitive, and universal changes have been made to the game's UI and subsystems. The health and attack ratings for specific enemies and bosses have been reduced, and it now costs less stamina to block incoming damage. The Reed Devil boss stage has been tweaked to make it easier, and some puzzles and minigames have also received changes to make them easier. Additionally, enemies now have debuffs when you destroy their facilities at a stronghold, healing items give you more health back, and farming some resources like logs and timber is now faster. Okay, so then the full sweep of patch notes. I don't know if I want to read them all. But it is cool that this laundry list of items is being addressed, and hopefully, people see that. Controls, improved response speed and interaction of UI, improved responsiveness of jump inputs. One thing I saw this weekend was a discussion about making fire arrows and how complicated it is to figure out, but it's because the controls are wonky anyway, and there's like a video with like over like 12k views of how to light arrows on fire in this game. And so like if you got to have a YouTube video explaining look how long this list is. I'm not reading all of this, but when you have to have that much help to just do something simple, yeah. So maybe the game will be better over time. I think I'm gonna wait on a sale if I want to play this game. I don't know that I do though. There's so many games I still need to play. I'm so behind on like everything. All right, but speaking of Crimson Desert, Pearl of the Abyss addresses Crimson Desert AI art scandal. We apologize for these oversights. No, you don't. You apologize you got caught. Recently, Crimson Desert hit the market after many years of development. The title launched to mixed reception, dividing gamers straight down the middle with a love it or hate it kind of vibe. One polarizing point was the untimely discovery of generative AI art. Ooh. Which vexed a fair portion of the game's community, especially as it wasn't properly disclosed. What does a properly disclosure look like? What does a proper disclosure of AI art look like? Is it on the storefront? Is it when you launch the game? Is it in the game's credits? Is it on the box art? Like, what do people want? Because whatever they get is not going to be enough. In a lengthy statement on social media, Pearl Abyss, the game's developer, has addressed the use of AI in Crimson Desert, suggesting it was an oversight that it had been left in the final product. I don't believe that for 1 second. On the same day that Crimson Desert launched, eagle-eyed users spotted suspicious imagery all across the game. In a string of images uploaded to social media, we saw paintings and murals that were almost unequivocal, irrevocable replications of AI art. And unless you've been living under a rock, you can understand why that's a big deal. It got worse when it was noticed that Pearl Abyss hadn't followed protocol on Steam and disclosed the use of generative AI. It wouldn't matter, even if they did. However, in a post on social media, the team at Pearl Abyss suggested it was a complete mistake that the AI art was left in the shipped game. During development, some 2D visual props were created as part of the early stage iteration using experimental AI generative tools. These assets helped us rapidly explore tone and atmosphere in the earlier phases of production. However, our intention has always been for any such assets to be replaced, following the final work and review by our art and development teams with work that aligned with our quality standards and creative direction. Following reports from our community, we have identified that some of these assets were unintentionally included in the final release. This is not in line with our internal standards, and we take full responsibility for it. I mean, I guess it's reasonable that it was an accident that they stayed in, but I just don't see... to me, it's just not as believable that they cared that much. Like, I feel like they have to apologize to avoid any more negative press, and that maybe it was a genuine mistake. But it's like easily patched, right? They explained that they should have disclosed the use of AI, and they were under the expectation that the assets mentioned would be altered before release, but that wasn't the case. I want to see what the assets are. Like, I want to see how egregious is it that some background 2D wall art was AI generated. To resolve the issue, the team is carrying out a full audit of all in-game assets to identify anything as generative AI in nature and removing it from the platform. I can totally believe that they accidentally left a few AI assets in. We see the code all the time now. Right, like, it's like technical debt at this point. The game is massive. In the comments under the post, some folks said the team doesn't need to apologize, suggesting that players are overreacting like crazy. See, I think it is an overreaction. Like, if you're really upset by it, this game is massive. Stuff like this gets left in all the time. While others said the game has much bigger concerns right now, I also agree. There are bigger issues than AI art on the walls. Yo, Harold, those are some cool emotes. Y'all are fine, no need to apologize. Many gamers understand AI is used as a tool for development of games, especially one of this magnitude. The people that are upset are people that will never buy your game. To some degree, I'm sure. I just wanted to see what the assets were. I don't know if, like, I don't know. We could probably find them just doing a quick search. we're not going to do it in front, though, because if I did it here and it pulled up something wildly inappropriate, like, yeah. Are we not typing? Do we freeze up? Let's see. I just want the evidence. Found this AI painting. Alright, yeah, you can see. It's not a big deal. You're not gonna notice if you're looking at this. Obviously, this guy found it, but like I wouldn't have paid attention to that. Like, ooh, a big ornate frame. Okay, moving on. Like I don't have the need to go get close and look at it. I don't know. I probably would have walked by it and never paid attention to it. But I'm sure there's more to it. I'm sure there's more assets, clearly, or they wouldn't have issued this big old apology. But that's fair. I think most of the time when someone asks me, have you heard about something? Yeah, for a streamer watch? Ah, that's funny. Thanks, man. All right, let's shift gears. I'm not as upset by this as I am by some other games using AI. It doesn't bother me. The game's massive, and there are more pressing issues that they need to address. So I don't see it as a big deal. I don't know about you guys. But let's shift gears. Let's talk about Marathon. I want to start with a post from Ginger Prime. He posted on X today, or maybe yesterday? I don't know. What's the date? March 23rd? That's today. It was this morning. It's kind of a long post. But to his credit, I mean, he did a lot of number crunching and analysis on it. So let's look at a lot of words first. Marathon Real Talk. At the end of the day, it's revenue in versus cost that keeps the lights on. Accurate. Crypto Archive was niche content for the players who are truly into this game. Yeah, I'm still one of them, loving the core loop, hopping on weekends. But it didn't spike the numbers the way some had hoped. Well, it wouldn't have. The event itself was not meant to spike numbers. There's no way it would spike numbers. Sorry. This weekend's 24-hour peak landed at 53,678 so far, down from last weekend's 62K, and a step back from the prior Friday's 59.3K. Sunday afternoon evening primetime surge hasn't fully hit yet, so we'll see if it pushes higher later today, but the trend is softer week over week on the big evenings. The dedicated core keeps returning every weekend, floors are steady in the low 20Ks during off hours, and that's the real story. The players who enjoy it are still showing up consistently. Gamers will optimize the fun out of anything, but if we want Bungie to keep dropping content and this live service to thrive long term, the folks still here got to be ready to open wallets on cosmetics, battle passes, etc. I don't even think that'll keep it open, though. Quick rough math on the rumored 250 million dev budget. Big rumor floating around, no official confirmation, but let's run with it for context. Steam owners estimated now 822K to 1.13 million. So that's about 930K average, maybe. Console adds 250K sales. PS5, let's see, Xbox is in the, like, I don't know what like he means with all this, like the estimated 110K plus owners. Either way, so rough total player base across platforms, 1 to 1.4 million players, majority PC, if that's the case. But the Steam numbers are showing us something else entirely. Blended entry price $40 to $50 gets 42 million to 70 million in upfront revenue. To break even on 250 million, the average player would need to spend another 130 to 180 on cosmetics or microtransactions over time. Realistically carried by whales and regulars, not every player spends, so the ongoing monetization is make or break. I'll tell you my mindset. I dropped $40. I looked at all the cosmetics, the battle pass, and everything. I have no desire to spend more than my $40 right now. and I barely scratched the surface of this game. I feel I'm enjoying it. I have fun with it. It is I did not think I would enjoy an extraction shooter, but I'm having a lot of fun with this. I'm hoping this season gives me enough time to kind of fully experience what's going on, and the seasonal reset isn't so deep that I'm just like, oh, well, I guess I'm just starting over, and all that I did over the little bit of time I did get to play was completely pointless. But anyway, let's go on. Total Steam hours played now at 15.16 million hours over 18 days, with global average 7.3 hours per week per active gamer. This tracks solidly with those owner estimates and shows the core is putting in the real time. Reviews at 85.56%, very positive. 37,000 reviews total. Still top 30 to 50 seller range with decent wishlist activity. Not blowing up, but the base that's here is committed. If we want Marathon to keep evolving, the wallet support has to match. Simple economics. Next weekend's the next big read. Follow for the breakdowns, keep it straight. Sources and breakdown. And he gives sources and breakdown of everything that he pulled with sources and stuff. But basically, the trend is, you have your returning audience, but you're dipping lower and lower every week. And that's kind of the concern, because this weekend was the Cryo Archive. That was the big weekend. But I think the cost of entry would have put anybody buying the game right away out of playing. They wouldn't have been able to jump in straight away. Because you have to have a certain vault value for your load, or a certain loadout value, which means that the gear you bring into the Cryo Archive map has to value up a total number of the in-game credits or whatever. And then you have to be level 25, which I wasn't even there. Like, I could have made it on the vault value. I've picked up enough junk wandering around, but I couldn't have got in. I didn't get to get in because I'm only like level 12 or 11. And so I would have to play a lot more than I'm already playing, which I'm playing like sometimes really late at night. Don't tell my wife, but I've been playing like really late, and I've been running a few runs and trying to level up and complete stuff, but I'm also playing solos for the most part, which I wouldn't have been able to do on Archive. I would have had to matchmake. I'm just not a matchmake with randoms kind of guy anymore. So maybe that's my fault, but I'd rather just play solos and get stomped than team up with randos who I'm either going to bring down because I'm bad at video games, or are going to get mad and do some boneheaded stuff and get us all killed. That's my opinion. I'd rather run with people I know and just profusely apologize in voice chat than apologize to people who may be worse than I am, or at least don't want to play the game to complete objectives. They're just running around like it's team deathmatch, which I haven't really encountered that. I feel like the people playing Marathon know what to do, but some people don't. But then we have a quote from Shroud saying, Cryo Archive is incredible, but it's too difficult for casual players. It's the most elaborate extraction shooter map I've ever seen in a game. The problem is your 9-to-5 grandma and grandpa going to be able to do it? Well, listen here, Sonny. I couldn't even get in. So I'm not saying I'm one of the core audience members here, but I am playing the game. I am enjoying it, and I couldn't even enjoy the event because I didn't qualify for it. So that brings us to the director looking into subroutine drops and solo play feedback for Cryo Archive. Can't guarantee quick solutions here, but we'll definitely discuss these topics as a team this week. So while it may not have meaningfully boosted Steam player counts, Marathon's new Cryo Archive zone has been received positively by players. The feeling of rushing through the UESC ship, struggling to understand its mechanics while battling other runners, has proven quite addictive despite the high risk. However, Bungie isn't sitting on its laurels. Director Joe Ziegler acknowledged feedback on several aspects of the in-game zone and said the team would be discussing the same. See, this is what I don't like. This game just came out and they're talking about in-game? Like, is this supposed to represent like the final boss of the season or final boss of the game? Like, maybe I'm not thinking about it right. Maybe there is no final boss. But they say in-game. I'm like, the game's been out a month. What are we in-gaming? These include its current schedule, it's currently weekend only, the lack of solo play, and making subroutines a more guaranteed vault drop, which is essential for accessing the boss. Now, this doesn't mean they'll be addressed immediately. Any of these may take some time to figure out, so I can't guarantee quick solutions here, but we'll definitely discuss these topics as a team this week. Interestingly, he concluded by thanking players for sticking with us as we evolve the game and fighting the good fight against the cyborgs, robots, and aliens. Robots obviously refers to UESC forces that you spend an inordinate amount of time slaughtering, while aliens, well, if you know the original trilogy's lore, then you know what that refers to. There aren't currently any cyborgs in the game. Perhaps a tease for the future, especially as Bungie further expands on the lore and whatever awaits in the marathon. Sorry, sentence was hard to read. Time will tell. Season 2 Nightfall is still a ways off, kicking off in June and introducing a new setting for Dire Marsh. It will also include new weapons, contracts, mods, cores, runner shell, and the cradle for further customization. So they're at least looking at some of the issues, which listening to Lano over on Reforged Gaming this morning, he was talking about how there are random drops that you have to hope you get to the final area of this map, or this, I guess it's a raid, I don't know. Either way, that sounds ridiculous given the high cost of entry, right? Like, if there was a lower cost of entry, RNG might make sense. Like, if I didn't have to pay, if I didn't have to have a certain level or the vault value or neither of those, right? You just jumped in with everybody else, then the RNG drops kind of make more sense because there's a lot more people running this raid. But if I'm paying a higher price, like, that RNG should favor the player more often than it doesn't. Maybe on repeat runs, like if you're doing it again. My apologies. If you're doing it again, sure, maybe make some RNG elements to it to make it more difficult. But on your first or second run, or until you beat the boss, there shouldn't be any RNG aspects to access in the area, right? Like, you'll have to exfil half completed because it's like, oh, the thing didn't spawn, I guess we just gotta leave this time, just to run it again and hope. I don't know, that just doesn't sound like that respects your time or your teammates' time, you know? So I find that weird. I really hope they can re-evaluate how this event is set up. And then is this, again, they're calling this like the in-game event. So is being on this part of the marathon ship the end game? Like, is there no more like plot? Are we like, what is, I don't understand. Why call it end game? Like, the game just came out. It's a seasonal game. So is this like the end of the season event? I'm very confused. Which has been my whole experience with Marathon. They first showed it. It's like, this looks weird. I'm not that into it. I'm a little confused by the marketing. And then they did some cool stuff, you know, right before the game launched. I was like, all right, this actually looks pretty fun. And then we're back to the confusing messaging where it's like, what is this? Is this the end of the game forever? Is this like the end of content? Like, what? Even if they do a new season, what does that mean for everything else? You're calling this end game. I don't understand what you mean by end game. And I don't know that I'm the only one that feels that way, but I definitely am wondering what the heck they mean by it. Anyway, okay. But that's what I have to cover on Marathon. I think by and large it's a mistake for them to have launched that event the way they did, with such a high cost of entry, and still have random drop percentages for the key cards or whatever that you need to open up the final area. Imagine doing that, prepping all week just to not even get to finish it. What the heck? All right, let's talk about DLSS 5, because, you know, we haven't talked about enough angry topics this week. This on Monday. It's just Monday, y'all. VGC has an article, "What version represents the collective experience? AI tech like DLSS 5 causes issues when preserving games," curator says. "Is the maker's intent or the audience's collective memory being compromised?" Machine learning and AI tech like DLSS 5 and its predecessors cause issues when preserving and exhibiting games, a museum curator has warned. Last week, NVIDIA announced DLSS 5, the next generation of its image enhancement technology, which it claims is the most significant breakthrough in computer graphics since the debut of real-time ray tracing. Response to the tech was mostly negative, and rightly so. We saw it. We all saw what it looked like, with players accusing it of applying an unwanted filter of generative AI visuals over the original graphics. For faces, it definitely looked that way. The tech and similar upscaling and AI enhancement tech like it also produces problems for preservation, according to Chloe Appleby, program curator at the Powerhouse Museum in Sydney. In an interview with Gadget Guy, Appleby explained that the addition of AI and machine learning tech to games and the ability to turn it on or off depending on a player's hardware specs or personal taste would create a headache when trying to decide which version of a game to preserve and exhibit. I can see that. You know, they thought they were cooking. NVIDIA? Or are you talking about Bungie? I think NVIDIA is very proud of this. I think they believe that they're showing a net benefit, but that AI, the way the faces look, and it just looks like a totally different face in some of these pictures, it's like, the heck. Yeah. And you know they thought they were cooking. But I agree with this statement. Like, okay, so let's say in the case of Resident Evil Requiem, do you feature the upscaled DLSS 5 version, or do you just do the base version with no enhancement? I think this is more what the artist intended, because this is not what this chick looks like in this game, or the art. Even the concept art, she doesn't look like this. So, like, who is this lady? Alright, so anyway. If these new AI technologies become essential for making and playing games, it has the potential to not only add another layer of potential copyright complexity, but bring into question what version of a game should be preserved. Do we preserve both DLSS off and on? Is the DLSS 5 version consistent amongst players? And if not, what version represents the collective experience? Appleby stressed that not only does AI tech risk compromising the original version of the game's art team, it also results in games that look different from user to user. A potential issue when exhibiting such games at a museum in the future where everyone's memory of how it looked differs depending on what their setup was. I would argue that an analog to this, if like you need like an explanation of what they're talking about, a good analog might be watching a Blu-ray in 4K HDR on an HDR TV or an OLED TV with, like, you know, solid lighting, but it's very much HDR capable, and noticing how vibrant and colorful and clear everything is, and then on a different TV, an older TV, not necessarily a CRT, but like an older flat screen that doesn't have HDR and doesn't do 4K, and watching like a DVD version of that movie, maybe upscaled to 1080p or something. Obviously, one's going to have a different look and feel than the other, even though they're the same movie. You know, it's going to be a very different picture experience. And so I think that's kind of what we're looking at here with the DLSS 5, is there's a lot of bells and whistles being added, but how much of this changes the artist's original intent? Especially, like, okay, going back to the movie example, if you go back to a movie made in the 80s and they apply HDR to it, yeah, it might look cooler, but does it stray too far from the original vision, or does it preserve it? I think DLSS 5 is doing a bit of both. I think it's destroying the artist's intent when it comes to faces and people, but I think it's enhancing textures and materials really nicely to where they look more realistic, which may or may not be a good thing, but they definitely don't seem so far from the original object that I'm not sure, like, you know, did they use just an AI filter on this jacket or this wall or this flooring, whereas the faces definitely look so different that it's like, hey, I don't think that's what the artist intended at all. And I think that's like the big takeaway with a lot of this. Experiences and intent from both the maker and the player changes significantly with this tech, which impacts curatorial justifications and interpretations, she explains. And in exhibition context, how do you present this tech with the game? If you must display it, is the maker's intent or the audience's collective memory being compromised? Elsewhere in the article, Dr. Brendan Keogh of Queensland University of Technology said he wasn't necessarily certain that DLSS 5 would change game development in a major way, especially considering the huge negative backlash to how terrible it looks. What will be important is for players to be vocal about the fact they want games made by actual human beings that don't require burning down whole forests and using huge amounts of water just to render bad shadows. A painting isn't automatically better if it has more colors, and a video game isn't automatically better if it has more pixels. Maybe. I love the memes. I have absolutely enjoyed the memes of DLSS 5 being awkward. I really do like it. All right. Well, speaking of AI, Square Enix plans to add Google generative AI to Dragon Quest X, which is their MMO exclusive to Japan. So a chatbot called Oshaberry Slimy can call your outfit ugly in real time. No thanks. So Square Enix has announced a Google collaboration to bring an original companion character named Oshaberry Slimy to its Japan exclusive MMO Dragon Quest X. Slimy is powered by the Gemini AI model, and some fans of the Dragon Quest games are already plotting to kill him. Anime News Network shares Japanese news sources, including 4Gamer, that at a recent press briefing, Square Enix and Google Cloud shared their intentions to pursue living games. The companies define the concept as games where generative AI is crucial to all parts of production, including in player-facing features like the chatbot Oshaberry Slimy. The slime represents Dragon Quest creator Yuji Horí's old dream to include an AI-powered friend in one of his games because he thinks things like it would be fun to investigate a murder case while interacting with AI. Meanwhile, Dragon Quest fans think things like "we don't need AI slop," as one Twitter reaction with nearly 500 likes says, or "hopefully I can kill Slimy in game." Can't localize it, but can put AI BS in it, says another popular Twitter comment about Dragon Quest X. Yeah, I think this should be localized in the States. This reminds me of when we got the AI Darth Vader companion in Fortnite, though, and he could react to stuff happening in-game and what you said in voice chat. You know, we were getting Vader saying "skibbity toilet," and, like, that made a lot of people upset. You know, I think overall the feature was kind of neat, but it was very much abused. Why wouldn't that happen here, too? Okay, so Square Enix announces, from Genki, Square Enix announced plans to integrate Google's generative AI model Gemini into Dragon Quest X. They have developed a companion character called Oshaberry Slimy, Chatty Slimy. Players can chat to Slimy and it will respond using AI-generated text and voice. Okay, you had to open a whole new tab. It can recognize on-screen information, comment on outfit changes, or on if a strong enemy is defeated or a rare item is obtained. It can also give game hints such as assistance on where to go next. If they leaned into it, make an AI slop character named I Am Sloppy. That would be great. Don't mention many plans to bring Dragon Quest X to the West at the moment. They need to! How long have we been patient for this game? And it's just like, nah, it's not coming. In summary, Japan can keep Dragon Quest X after all, I guess, as one would-be fan says. No thanks. English language Japanese news update account Genki explains in an original translation that Oshaberry Slimy directed players on screen information by doing things like providing hints, commenting on boss fight wins, or recognizing outfit changes using AI-generated speech. But all of those abilities only make Slimy more despicable to those disappointed by Square Enix's seemingly limitless commitment to AI. I don't know. This seems kind of harmless, kind of stupid. Like AI Darth Vader was kind of stupid. You know, the corporate love for AI needs to die. I agree with that statement. Consumers don't want this rubbish polluting what we love. I don't know. This could be funny. I don't think it's going to be terrible. It's kind of weird. But the fact that they've got the fact that it can criticize and react to stuff, I mean, it might be awkward and a little goofy to see firsthand, but I'm not opposed to this. This doesn't feel like slop. This just feels like testing the waters with what an NPC connected to Gemini might do. You know? And I'm down for it. No, nobody's talking to you. But anyway. Alright. Let's move on. I thought it was interesting. 77% of US Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, that's the sequel to Remake, players, as part 2 of 3. Players were 30 or older. Analyst says that Square Enix fights to get young people to care about the JRPG series again. 62% were over 35. Yoshi P, best known as the director and producer of Final Fantasy XIV, thinks the long gap between new Final Fantasy games has kept younger players away from the series. Whatever the reasons why, market analysis of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demographics back up Yoshida's assertion that Final Fantasy fandom is trending even older. According to Circana's Player Pulse, 62% of US players of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth were aged 35 or older. I'll only be adding to that statistic when I finally get around to playing it, which kind of makes me sad. Of US players, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth were aged 35 or older. Matt Piscatella, senior director at Circana, says on Blue Sky, that number goes to 77% if you go 30 plus. Yo, Will, what's up, dude? Good to see ya. Circana's data, again, only applies to the US, but it's a notable trend in one of the largest video game markets in the world, and it backs up Yoshida's point about the demographics of Final Fantasy fans. To an extent, that's to be expected, since Final Fantasy is a nearly 40-year-old series that arguably reached its peak at the turn of the century. But other big historical franchises, I'm looking at you in particular, Zelda, that's the author's note, have managed to reinvent themselves to feel fresh for multiple generations of players. Yoshida has some hope that Dissidia Duellum Final Fantasy, a free-to-play 3v3 mobile game inspired by social media, which I auto-installed on my phone because I wishlisted it because I want to check it out, but I didn't necessarily want to install it right at launch, but here we are. Will help bring younger players in, but I can't help but feel that's a pretty fundamental misread of the situation. Sure, maybe somebody who enjoys both mobile PvP games and single-player RPGs will play the new Dissidia and decide to try Final Fantasy XVI afterward, but it's tough to imagine that crossover audience being very large. The younger generation of gamers in Yoshida's mind encompass people who grew up naturally accustomed to action-based combat and online competitive play, and if that's how the generational divide is framed within Square Enix, it's easy to see why the series continues to focus on action-oriented combat in the mainline entries and non-RPG genres in its spin-offs. Personally, I think Final Fantasy's failure to cater to its original generation of fans is harming its ability to stay relevant with the younger set. We saw what happened with wild success stories like Baldur's Gate 3 and Player Obscure Expedition 33. They tripled down on old school tastes to build RPGs so wonderful that the core audience of genre fans couldn't help but evangelize them to the world. Final Fantasy, meanwhile, has explicitly tried to court new players by casting the expectations of the older generations aside. There's something to be said for boldly reinventing older series, but clearly Square Enix's reinventions of its flagship series haven't had the intended effects. Which is the best Final Fantasy era? Well, personally, I think the PS1 era. 7 to 9. But I also think 15 was really fun, and I liked the story, and a lot of people don't like it, and that's okay. I liked 15. I would like to go and finish it one day. I would like to finish Final Fantasy 16 one day, because I like it too. It's really dark, but it's really good. But is the bigger problem that Final Fantasy itself can't attract the younger audience because the games are becoming more and more mature with each release? Or is it the fact that turn-based RPGs or RPGs in general, maybe the Final Fantasy series in general, just doesn't resonate with the younger crowd? You know, if you think about what's popular, it's Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, to some degree, Call of Duty. You know, Final Fantasy doesn't have anything to do with those things. You know, there's no there's no custom building Final Fantasy game. Yeah, there's Dragon Quest builders, but you know, is there one that they can keep revisiting, or is there a Final Fantasy game that would really resonate with the younger crowd that would still attract the older players? I don't know if they can do that, because if they're going to keep going action oriented route, then sure, go ahead and do it, but that's only going to keep people coming back that already know what they're doing. Yeah, already know what they're getting into. People who don't know what Final Fantasy is are going to look at that and go, well, Final Fantasy 27, I've now played the first 26. What does that mean? You know? And so it's like, at a certain point, you got to drop the numbers, go back to what you know, and just lean on your existing audience and quit trying to push people aside while chasing the new shiny stuff. I don't know. Maybe they're finally getting around to realizing that. I don't mind that 15 and 16 played very different than a turn-based Final Fantasy. I don't mind turn-based. I would rather play an action RPG than a turn-based RPG. But the in-between for me is like the active time battle system. Like in Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy 7 or 9. You know, where the turns build up, but you have time to like kind of react to what's going on, and you're not just watching your dudes get hit in the face with no hope of doing anything else. And then I guess Claire Obscure has like a blocking or dodge mechanic. Mario RPG had a blocking and an extra damage mechanic where if you timed your button presses right, you did more damage or took less damage. I like that. That makes it more of an action game than just a turn-based wait and see game. But again, I don't mind turn-based. It's just not a pure turn-based RPG is not my favorite thing. So yeah, that's me. I don't know. Maybe I'm not the target audience then. All right, well, let's wrap this baby up. This is the last thing I got. What's the best game from 2003 from video game history? Posted this morning. This is a good list. I didn't realize so many bangers came out in 2003. But you've got Sonic Heroes, Simpsons Hit and Run, Rayman 3. Let's see. I don't know which Castlevania that is. Aria of Sorrow? That's what it looks like. Nancy Drew, The Haunted Carousel. Banger. No, I'm just kidding. I've never played it. Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3. That was Super Mario Bros. 3 releasing on the GBA. Then you have 3 of my favorite GameCube games. F-Zero GX, which is the best F-Zero ever made. Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, which was awesome. Mario Kart Double Dash, probably the second best Mario Kart ever made. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, which is awesome. Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire came out in 2003. Wow. Knights of the Old Republic. I don't know how I feel about Final Fantasy X-2. I've never played it. I'm not attached to it. Harvest Moon. WWE SmackDown. Here Comes the Pain. Never really worried with. Ape Escape. Not attached to it at all. Crash Nitro Kart. Meh. Ratchet & Clank Going Commando. Love the Ratchet & Clank games. Jak 2. Couldn't get into the Jak and Daxter series. Got a meeting. Ah, lame. And Tony Hawk's Underground, which I really enjoyed as a follow-up to the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series. I think Underground 2 was more fun, but Underground was really good. But what is the best one from 2003? Hard to say. If I were picking right now, my gut tells me Sonic Heroes personally, but F-Zero's in there. These 3 GameCube games. Wind Waker would probably be top like 2. Ruby and Sapphire, even though I've never played them. I mean, it's Pokemon. And banger titles for a lot of people, so big year for games. Big year for games. But anyway, that's it. That's all the game news I got. I had to pick the right button. Let's just hang out and just chatting. We'll turn news mode off. I got a few minutes. We'll find somebody to raid out to. See who's still broadcasting from this morning or who's just starting for the afternoon. This is an unusual time slot for me. Ape Escape's the only one of those you played? Wow. Did you just not play very many video games as a kid? I've never played Ape Escape. The closest I've come is the Ape Escape references in Astrobot. Let's see. Who? You know what? We'll raid XN. At least on the purple side. Start raid. And I can redirect to him too. Don't have those consoles. I don't know how we got them, to be honest. My parents, well, my mom could have stole all of it. I would have never have known. We just ended up with stuff. I just was like happy to get my hands on video games. Does that make me a bad person? I don't know. All right. Well, if you guys are watching on YouTube, thanks for being there. Super cool of you to hang out. Will, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. We're going to raid Christian Ninja. Y'all go show him some love. I'm setting up the redirects for YouTube as well. If you're watching on any other platform, good luck. Have a great day. We'll be live again tomorrow night, 7 p.m. for Pokemon ZA. And yeah, appreciate you. Love you. See you later.